Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to dial in. Welcome back to another episode. It's your host with the most, the football Google, the big guy himself, Collin O'Callaghan. And today, I'm joined by a very special guest here. Let me just do the intro. Alrighty, everyone. Our special guest today comes from the beautiful town known as Charleston, South Carolina. After graduating from the Charleston School of the Arts, he received his bachelor's degree from DePaul University, not too far from the Medill Studios, Chicago's proudest university, according to him. He's now a grad student at the Medill School of Journalism with a specialization in sports media. This man right here has worked in content creation, marketing, show programming, writing, sales, and communications. He's the co-founder of the 303 Network, co-host of the very famous 303 Hoops. He's the kind of guy that likes to sleep early, the man that brings you the best stories, and it doesn't hurt to say that he's the best-looking guy in the studio. Oh. Sorry, ladies, he's taken. Oh. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for the Emmy winner himself, Ryan Hinske.
Dude, that was awesome.
Let's freaking go.
Great to be here. Couldn't have one Ryan today, so we found the other, right?
Absolutely.
And it's great to be on here. I feel like it was long overdue. And yeah, couldn't be better timing because boy, did we have a week last week.
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, today is Friday the 13th, which means in February, Valentine's Day is just right around the corner. So whether you're spending it with that special someone or whether you're going to be by yourself on your couch watching Star Wars, eating cream cheese out of the container with your hands, you can't help but deny that love is in the air.
Yeah.
But last week it was quite a doozy because it's been a week since we were in San Francisco covering the Super Bowl. But we got a couple laundry list items to get out of the way because obviously we missed an episode. 2 head coaching hires were announced. Mike LaFleur to the Arizona Cardinals and Clint Kubiak going to the Las Vegas Raiders literally the day after he won the Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. So how about that? Let's just get this out of the way. What were your thoughts?
Unlike a lot of jargon out there's a lot of jargon.
Yes.
There's a lot of talking heads and
it's a lot of conjecture.
We might be
two
least. Talking heads ourselves.
Yes.
But I am a little more positive about these 2 hires in particular than the average sports analyst. I think the mainstream opinion out there, especially from what I saw from like Sports Illustrated and on television, is that Mike LaFleur isn't ready to take the helm of a rebuilding organization. I've seen a lot of that out there. However, he did coach the Jets for 2 rough seasons there.
You got to be kidding me, man.
So, I mean, it doesn't get much rougher than that. He's from the Shanahan coaching tree. Obviously, yes, he's had a lot of success coaching offenses. But I think Arizona was probably... because a lot of people were saying Mike LaFleur is probably due for a head coaching job. I think Arizona was the best situation he could have gone to. I know it's a bad situation right now.
Yeah.
However, I think the pressure's off. I think you have a young coach, you have a young team. I think there isn't as much pressure as there's going to be in other situations like we saw in Las Vegas with Pete Carroll. And I think Arizona, just no one really talks about them, but they're in the best division in football.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there's not going to be any expectations in Arizona, and they're still going to sell tickets. It's the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
But there's no expectation that they're going to be good this year, even next year.
No.
We know that it's one of the roughest rosters in the whole league. They have some bright spots, like Buda Baker, obviously, is a great player.
Trey McBride.
Trey McBride is probably the best tight end in football right now.
Right.
So I think you're building for the window in which the 49ers, Seahawks, and Rams, maybe 2 of those 3, maybe even 1 of those 3, you're waiting for their window to close. Suddenly, Arizona rises up with their young coach and their built team, and they're good to go.
Yeah, I would say the LaFleur one, I understand, like, listen, Sean McVay assistants, whenever they get head coaching opportunities, most of them end up turning out pretty well for themselves. Like Kevin O'Connell, Liam Cohen, the likes of that. I'm just scared that Mike LaFleur is just going to be viewed as a patsy when he is in Arizona because apparently the top guy on their list was the Jags defensive coordinator. And a lot of head coaching candidates kind of withdrew from that. With the Cardinals, it's like, this is what I was like so surprised with. Like, they made all the moves that they could to try to improve the defense. Offensively, the core's still in place, and yet everything after a 2-0 start just completely fell apart. James Conner gets hurt. Kyler Murray suffers a foot injury. The defense completely underachieves, and they end up losing. After going 2-0, they lose, 14 out of their final 15 games?
Yeah.
Ironically, the one win was against Dallas. So I feel like with the Cardinals, Mike LaFleur, he has OC experience without Sean McVay. And listen, Zach Wilson is Zach Wilson. Maybe LaFleur with a better situation at hand would, probably do better. But with Kyler Murray's contract situation, you just don't know what the hell you're going to do in that position. Either you keep it on and you just see if he returns to form, or you try to start from scratch again. Because they got the 3rd overall pick. You got a decent amount of cap space. Wouldn't hurt to see what's going to happen, especially with, the GM still in place. Listen, I agree with you. There are no expectations for the Cardinals right now. At the very least, you could win 7-8 games just with the talent that you've got, but it can't get worse than last year. I think with the Kubiak one, though, I actually agree. I feel like he's in a good situation because you're going to get the 1st overall pick, and it's going to be Mendoza. But the big question hampering over their heads is what the hell's going to happen with Max Crosby?
Right. I think the start for Clint Kubiak, though, has been there's some momentum there.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot in the last few days about hiring Mike McCoy right out the gate. Kubiak's got more experience. He's worked for more teams. He's had recent success. Obviously, you can't get much better than turning Sam Darnold into a Super Bowl quarterback. Obviously, Sam Darnold did a lot before. He had a great season in Minnesota. But still, he brought that offense to the next level.
Yep.
And then, obviously he's talking to other Seahawks offensive personnel in terms of the coaching personnel.
Kenneth Walker is a free agent. You could pair him with Genty if you wanted to.
And I saw that Rashid Shaheed is on his bucket list too.
Ooh,
so
okay.
That could be a good pickup for them. For that, deep shot receiver, which is the reason why they traded for him midseason.
Exactly. That team just needs to be in a full rebuild mode because you got. Yeah. You talk about Trey McBride probably being the best tight end right now. Brock Bowers is literally climbing his way up the ladder.
True.
And you got Genty, but the defense cannot just simply be Max Crosby or bust. Either you get him a lot of guys that can step up for him right away, or you trade him and you just completely start over again. Because either way, you're getting significant value for a generational player, and yet with a rookie quarterback on the way, if you think that this team is competitive enough to make the playoffs, you're sadly mistaken. You gotta completely sell the load. With Geno Smith and Pete Carroll last year, I didn't think they would make the playoffs anyway. But for that to implode the way it did, it's just you need better results pronto, right now.
Yeah, I think I actually want to go back a year. And, I would think that. I actually know some people. It's not that I knew them and then I cut them off because of this take, but I know some people that were the Raiders are my sleeper playoff team.
Yeah.
Last season.
That's what I figured.
And it's because, the personnel itself isn't the problem.
No.
It's just that you have this, unfortunately Geno Smith, leaves Seattle and they just become really good at passing. Obviously, in Vegas, it was a rough season.
Yeah.
But I think it was, Pete Carroll coming in as a very experienced head coach with a roster that wasn't ready to really accept the culture or really knew how to play together at all.
Exactly.
But I think they have a lot of roster problems that Kubiak can address head on with his experience.
Mm-hmm.
And let's remember the Raiders were the 31st ranked offensive line.
Yeah. So, it was horrible.
Jordan Meredith was their best offensive line, 147th overall out of all the offensive linemen in the league.
Yeah.
Your best is 147th overall.
Yeah, it's a disaster. Listen, they got the second most cap space entering the free agent. They got $87 million worth of it. I think the most is, the Titans? So,
yeah.
Those two teams need to go all in to make sure that their quarterbacks aren't just being sent out to die again. But we'll see what happens. But just wanted to get that out of the way.
I think I'll give them both. If I were to grade them both, I would not put either of those hires below a B-.
Exactly. I agree.
On the positive side.
Yeah. Before we get into our Super Bowl experience, though, I want to introduce something new. So if you don't watch the 303 Hoops show, which is a freaking disgrace if you don't, they do this segment to start off the show all the time. It's called Song of the Day. And they pick out one that they kind of feel like connects to, a certain player or a certain team or a game, whatever the case may be. So I figured we do a Song of the Day segment on this show, Dialed In edition. Ryan, because it's your segment, I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I appreciate the 303 Hoops promo.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fun to start with music because, Caleb and I are both music people. You and I are both music people.
Exactly.
So I love this little segment.
Hell yeah.
We were in San Francisco for a full week, and you and I stood in the room where Fleetwood Mac recorded all of Rumors.
Absolutely. That was so cool.
Which was insane.
That was breathtaking.
So I had to pick Go Your Own Way
by
Fleetwood Mac as my song of the day because that song now that I've been to San Francisco as an adult, because I went when I was a tween. Now that I've been there as an adult, this song sounds like San Francisco.
Yeah,
and it's upbeat.
I know.
It's heavy on the guitars, heavy on the the vocals, the chorus of it all.
Yep, the harmonies,
and it just feels
everything.
like driving to Sausalito across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh my gosh, you play that song driving across the Golden Gate Bridge, it's literally it's heaven for you. I promise you.
And you think about the band in 75, 76 recording this album.
I know.
Driving across the Golden Gate Bridge to go record Go Your Own Way.
I mean, you think about Fleetwood Mac, they started off as a 4-piece blues band.
Yeah.
Nobody really heard of them. They were just this small group out in England. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you bring in Buckingham, you bring in Stevie Nicks, they completely refine their sound. And all of a sudden they're a global phenomenon. And the minute they move to California, they're just living the dream. Actually, it's funny you bring it up. In that studio, when Stevie Nicks was recording Dreams, she did the first take of that vocals. That's on the track right now. So there's so much history within that studio, and like you said, it was as perfect of an experience as you could ask for. My song of the day, it's actually a little bit different. It's called "Someday" by Rob Thomas, and what I was thinking of that is the Patriots, they had just lost the Super Bowl, and it was pretty bad. It was rough to watch. They got blown out. The offense couldn't really do anything despite the defense doing what they could. But as a fan. And as someone that loves watching the sport and covering it, on the Uber ride back from my cousin's house to my apartment, I somehow just played this song. And it's a great song. It's a great song of positivity because, it's just letting you know that, hey, if you're down and if you're going through enough adversity in your life and there's a ton of obstacles that you got to go through, then just remember to have a lot of belief and a lot of confidence in yourself and that things will get better as, the year progresses. So I think for the New England Patriots, that song, I feel like it's a perfect one to listen to because, hey, you might have come up just short, but the future is once again bright in Foxborough, and there's a lot to be excited for. The Celtics are the second best team in the East. The Bruins somehow have a wild card spot, which is flat out mind-boggling. The Red Sox were just in the playoffs last year, so you might not have gotten the ultimate goal, but that doesn't mean that you can't stop trying.
And let's be clear, Boston is a football town.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see when you talk about the dynasty and you talk about the years that they weren't a dynasty, and it's the Celtics won an NBA Finals during that time, and it still didn't feel like Boston was on top of the sports world.
Exactly.
But now that they're back in Super Bowl territory with a first-year head coach that wins Coach of the Year, maybe the best first year in coach's history, and the fact that he is a contributor to that franchise's history.
Yes.
Both as a player and now a coach.
Right.
It's great vibes in Boston.
I know. Okay. Speaking of which, let's talk about our time in San Francisco. I think we've done enough stalling for the time being. So both of us got to cover each team. I got to cover the Patriots. Mr. Hinske himself got to cover the Seahawks, the ultimate champions, the eventual champions. So lucky on his part. But what was it like for you just that entire week?
Reaffirming
that
I want to be in sports media, which is good because we're both at a pivotal time in our lives where we're making that decision of what we're going to do for the next 40 years.
Of course.
hopefully 40 years, probably more like 50.
Maybe.
But it's okay. And, I feel like the buzz in the town and the rush of adrenaline when you're vying for this player's time, whereas many other reporters are doing the same in a respectful way for the most part.
Yeah. Some of them
every day past Monday for the most part.
Yeah, some of them were definitely a little bit, they were doing a little bit too much, but go ahead.
And it was a blast. Like I did a feature story on Nick Immonwori, who's from my home state of South Carolina, as you mentioned. Which, again, great intro. I feel like I should make that the intro for my reel.
My gosh, 303 Royalty deserves introductions like that.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I'm humbled. I think covering him, getting to talk to him for 3 straight days, and, like, by the 3rd day, he's like, oh, what's up, man? Like, good to see you.
That's awesome.
It was really cool just being able to tell his story, his family story, his story of brotherhood. And that defense... I would walk around talking to some of the players, and on the last day that I was reporting, I didn't really need any more quotes. So I was just walking around talking to some of the defensive players about Nick and their relationship. There was a healthy mix of banter, soft jabs, and just pure brotherhood.
Which is what you'd expect.
Exactly. And that defense, the vibes were high that whole week. You could tell how confident they were. Mike McDonald said that he couldn't sleep the night that Nick Immonwori sprained his ankle.
Oh.
He thought everything was going to go to crap, and he was worried. But he came out and played great.
Yeah.
Didn't slow down a beat. And I think it's a testament to that defense that I felt the vibes as a reporter walking around and talking to them. They just felt like a unit.
I can't agree with you more. First of all, that feature story is incredible. If you haven't checked it out, check out his socials. I mean, it's plastered. I mean, it was published in the South Carolina Daily Newspaper. Yeah, so that's absolutely fantastic.
So I grew up like seeing that on the breakfast table in my family room every day was the daily newspaper.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
it comes full circle.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can relate to that because
tell me about it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If I had to relive that week all over again, I would have done it 150 times. Yeah, the outcome was not what I wanted, but that entire experience, just being able to be around the players and the coaches and being able to do all the things that I was able to do, that was a dream come true. Like, that was probably the best time that I've ever had my entire life. And I think, like, it really hit me when we were in that huge conference room, the first day. Like seeing Scott Hansen on the stage and seeing all the players and the coaches, like, get on the stage and walk over to their podiums. I mean, 30 minutes before it even started, Drake May's table was, like, completely packed with, like, reporters and cameras and things of that nature. So I was thinking to myself, like, man, I got my work cut out for me. But I think, like, a lot of people had, imposter syndrome where it's like, okay, if you ask the question, because reporting circles, they can be like, it's a shouting match. It's a free-for-all for, like, trying to get your questions across. But, like, once you do it and the players lock eyes on you, the thought in your head is just like, keep going, don't freeze up, just keep going. And that's exactly how I felt when I talked to Mike Vrabel and especially when I talked to Drake May 2 days later. Like, once I saw May's eyes, like, look at me, I'm like, oh crap, this is actually happening. Yeah. And I ended up getting 2 questions in, which is very rare for a player of that status. So
he had the biggest media presence.
He did,
anyone.
Without question. I mean, the guy was the runner-up for MVP, and he was 1 vote short, so understandably so. But, like, I think the vibes were kind of the same as the Seahawks. They were so excited to be there. They felt confident. They knew that they had a tough task ahead of them, going up against a great defense, a great head coach, an offense that, has been saving their best for the biggest games of the year. And I just felt like, there wasn't a lot of fear. There wasn't a lot of trepidation. Like, my story was about Terrell Williams, the Patriots defensive coordinator, because the week before they traveled to San Francisco, he was recently cleared of cancer for prostate cancer. So I got to talk to a lot of the defensive players. I talked to Drake May. I talked to Coach Vrabel, just asking them, like, what would it mean for them to win a Super Bowl for him? And, the quotes that they gave me and the things that they had to say and the positivity that they just said about him, it was surreal and it was really impactful. And unfortunately, like, they couldn't get it done. they couldn't win, but at the same time, like, I feel like this experience, it'll help them move forward and it'll help them learn and figure out, okay, we know what we didn't do right. We got to spend, the next 6-7 months trying to correct this and figure it out and get it done the next year. So, or however long it's going to take before they get back there. So,
yeah.
Like I said, the outcome sucked, but I just want to be back in San Francisco. That was flat out fantastic. But how did it feel seeing Bad Bunny in person?
Oh, man. That was so cool. Honestly, like, if I'm being completely honest, I'm a big music guy, but I had not really been a Bad Bunny listener.
Me neither.
A few weeks ago.
Right.
That all changed. And I think I always like, he was featured on the Utopia album with Travis Scott. So like, I've certainly listened to Bad Bunny before.
Yeah.
But, oh man, his messaging, the fact that you could tell during that press conference that wasn't really a press conference. It was
like a panel.
Yeah, it was a panel.
Right.
That like press was at, which was cool. I was glad to be in the room.
Yes.
With him, and with I was more stricken by the people around me. There was a vast majority Latin American reporters that were there, and to me, it felt like there was a feeling in the room, a buzz in the room,
right,
that this was the biggest weekend in those Latin American reporters' careers.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they were sports and entertainment, right? Because
absolutely.
Pinnacle of sports is the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Some would argue the World Cup, but certainly USA, Super Bowl. Pinnacle of entertainment in the USA, Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. 128 million people is the first numbers that we have in terms of viewership for the halftime show. 128 million people. Watch that.
Mind-boggling.
For those Latin American reporters that had long felt like their cultures were not represented in the mainstream, the mainstream.
Yeah.
They had the Grammy weekend and now the Super Bowl weekend, and the face of that movement to share the culture with us, Americans, that was the goal. And that was what was happening that week. And I felt like for those reporters, they felt this sense of, we are now being introduced to the world.
Absolutely.
Truly introduced.
And I think that was perfectly encapsulated in the entire performance itself.
Oh, yeah.
Like seeing Ricky Martin and then Lady Gaga. I mean, I didn't realize there was an actual wedding taking place on the actual show. I thought those were just choreographic dancers just like trying to like reenact like, oh yeah, love is love. Like we're stronger together by love and not hate. I thought that's what they were trying to do. I didn't realize that was actually real.
Yeah.
So that was just flat out cool. But we'll get into the halftime show. So we talked about our experience. Let's actually talk about the game. And you know me, obviously I'm a music guy. You brought that up. The national anthem, Charlie Puth, that might have been the best national anthem performance I've seen in my entire life.
It was so good.
It was tear jerking.
Can I say that I was shocked that it was that
really?
Good?
You were shocked?
Okay, so I knew Coco Jones would do amazing.
Yes,
and she did.
She did.
Brandi Carlile, great, really good. What's the song? America
the Beautiful. Yep.
Really good acoustic version of that. And then we wait, and finally, after what seems like an eternity of AI ads and halftime Super Bowl commercials those were not great.
Those were not good at all.
Shout out Budweiser, but
that was the best one. That made everything feel so much better.
I love that one. It's just like
and
so
they were
like
actually
cliche
there.
American. Like they were there.
They were at the stadium. I'm like, holy crap, let's go.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And they've always been like, my grandma's like, oh, I can't wait for the Budweiser commercial because they've been doing it since the 70s. The Clydesdales, those horses.
Yes.
And I remember when I was a kid, the Clydesdales came to Charleston and walked through the streets.
Oh, wow.
They like brought them on tour. Like those horses would be brought by Budweiser all around the country to like promote the Clydesdales and obviously promote the beer. But we're not here to talk about commercials. Charlie Puth comes on.
Yes.
He's on this elevated podium, and they have there's like a camera facing up at the end where he's like singing towards the crowd, and you can see the beautiful clear sky.
Yes.
Which we saw the whole week before. Not a cloud in the sky.
No
And
rain
then
at all.
The flyover, the angle of the flyover, the double flyover.
Oh my God.
Was insane. And I'm not really like a flyover guy. Flyovers are cool, but I'm not like, whoa, like that is a Boeing blank, 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 like military, whatever. I can't tell you what those planes were, but the timing of it and just the like us as video people, like we get it. Like the production of it all.
It was cinematic.
And his high tenor like voice. It was so good.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I knew the performance was going to be great because Charlie Puth's vocals are fantastic. His range is unbelievable. I didn't realize like the background stuff, like the backup vocals, the saxophone, all of that. I didn't realize that it was going to give me chills. Yeah. And it was actually going to make me like legitimately cry, especially with the flyover towards the end. That's the perfect definition of like a great national great national anthem performance. And none of us were alive to watch Whitney Houston do it when the Giants ended up beating the Bills. But oh my gosh, I was just like, let's kick this thing off. This was fantastic. But the first half, it was a little bit of a snooze fest. Let's talk about it. So it felt like to me, the Seahawks didn't have too much of a hard time moving the football. Like Kenneth Walker had 100 yards before, or nearly 100 yards before halftime, but Sam Darnold, he went 9 for 22. They ended up settling for a few field goals. Couldn't really capitalize too much on their opportunities, but the Patriots just could not get much of anything, and they were just stifled in every single direction.
Were both Witherspoon sacks in the first half?
I think one of them was.
Yeah, and it just felt like, and they said this after the game.
Yeah.
In the locker room, some of the coaches did. That they were just going to keep Drake May guessing.
Yeah.
And like make it so that every play he's going to have to call an audible. Every play he's going to have to. There's no two things being thrown at him at the same time.
Right.
Most of the sets involved pressure and extra blitzers. However, towards the end of the first half, they were beaten up so bad on that Patriots offensive line that they just brought 4, and that was enough to pressure him.
Yeah. I mean, they pretty much just said, okay, you got 2 rookies on that left side of the line. Yeah. Will Campbell has been pretty bad throughout the entire postseason. We're just going to attack those 2 kids and just see, like, let's just see if we can get home. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Drake May got sacked a few times. They couldn't run the football 1 ounce of a bit. I mean, at one point, they had more punts than they did complete passes.
Yeah.
And honestly, the score could have been a lot worse because Jackson Smith and Jigba on like, what was it, the 3rd play of the game or on the 2nd drive of the game? He got wide open, and the ball was completely oversailed by like 5 yards.
Yeah.
So the Patriots defense did whatever they could. I mean, Christian Gonzalez made 2 fantastic breakups, and they were trying to blitz Sam Darnold every way they could. But to Darnold's credit, he didn't make any mistakes. He got rid of the ball. He tried to do whatever he could. Yeah, the numbers weren't completely great through the first 30 minutes, but he wasn't completely letting the momentum get out of hand. So
Christian Gonzalez probably proved himself as a top cornerback in the league.
I mean, he already was a top corner in the league, but
but now you're putting him with Pat Surtain. Like, like that kind of performance, despite the ropes being against them, like being up against the ropes.
Yeah,
big performance.
Well, listen, I get the biggest reason why he doesn't get a lot of first-team nods is because he doesn't have a lot of interceptions. But here's my response: nobody's trying to throw the football his way because everyone knows if you try to target him, most of the time it's either getting broken up or you're probably going to regret it. So, and it just felt like the Seahawks just had the answers to the test before the test was even given. But it was still 9-0. Like, it was a winnable game. And if New England made the right amount of adjustments on offense, then everything would have been fine. But clearly that didn't happen. But let's talk about this halftime show real quick.
Yeah.
So Bad Bunny was flat out fantastic.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga made a surprise appearance. Ricky Martin made one. I didn't realize like just how much space that show was going to take up. Like, I thought it was just going to be like the simple stage and a few like scene changes or whatnot, but everything was perfectly directed. Everything was perfectly choreographed. There were so many things happening at once. it was a little bit hard for me to try to understand just because, like, okay, there's obviously a storyline, but I need to, like, figure out, like, what's happening. But for a lot of the people that were watching, some of them are saying that it might have been the best halftime show they've ever seen. And rightfully so, just because of the amount of international acclaim that it got.
Yeah, it was well received for sure, given how contentious the fact that he was chosen was. But, I mean, when you look at the actual performance, like an objective view of the performance compared to others, it kept you guessing.
Yes.
It stayed true to his career, different themes from different albums, like the literal color schemes of those albums. And then, like, Ricky Martin literally sitting in the chair that is in the album cover of his newest track that won Album of the Year. That was really cool, too. But also just bringing in, like, you're in Puerto Rico in this performance.
Right.
He brings you into within the sugarcane. Obviously, the history of sugarcane in Puerto Rico, a lot of it dark history. But now, using it as sort of a celebration of Puerto Ricans' resilience and also connection with the rest of Latin America and all of the Americas.
Yeah.
And that was the goal. That was what he was trying to convey.
Of course.
But he also did that in a way that wasn't like, this is the narrative. This is the narrative. No, here's my career. Here's my good music. You're going to genuinely enjoy the music, and I'm going to sneak in a few of these, messages along the way, especially the big one at the end.
And I feel like he was trying to set that up in his Grammy speeches, like the week before. Like he was pretty much trying to give you like a brief take, like, okay, this is what I truly believe. This is the message that I'm trying to send. But I'm going to like just truly tell you what it's going to be like in San Francisco. Like he didn't directly say that, but in a way, like you could see the subtlety there. And I feel like everything that, he tried to emphasize, like I said earlier, it was just perfectly encapsulated in every single way. The Lady Gaga one definitely surprised me, though. Just her singing Die With a Smile, the conga style, that was fantastic. But there was only one small problem that I had. How in God's name do you not have Ricky Martin up there and you don't have him and Bad Bunny do Livin' La Vida Loca? That would have definitely blown the house off without question. And obviously, like the way it ended was great. Just Bad Bunny just like, jumping up and down and having security escort him out the stadium. I didn't know which song it was. Like, I'm not a huge Bad Bunny listener, so forgive me. But I was like, wow, that actually went a lot better than I could have anticipated. So bravo to him. Bravo to everybody else that was involved. Congratulations to the couple that got married on there.
Yeah.
That was flat out beautiful.
Yeah, super cool.
Like I said, I didn't realize that was actually real. I didn't even know how that even happened. That's my biggest question.
Yeah. And that, he came off the stage with DTMF.
Yeah.
Which that was the song you were referring to.
Yes.
Which is now on Spotify 1.45 billion listens.
Oh my gosh.
Billion.
I think Puth's national anthem is on Spotify too.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. Everything is.
Yeah. Well, I mean DTMF, like the actual studio recorded version. Incredible. Just probably the biggest artist in the world right now. And also bringing to light that, 60% of households speak Spanish in the United States. So
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But we get right back to the football game. So in the third quarter, it just felt like both teams picked up where they left off. Seattle's offense was the better group in sync, yet they kept stalling out. Really, Jason Myers and Michael Dixon were like making legitimate cases for being Super Bowl MVP because
those punts, man. Jeez.
Oh my God. The way Dixon was able to like pin New England like way deep into their territory, like a few punts inside their own 10.
Yeah.
Jason Myers, he already had like the most points in a single season for a field goal kicker, but he ended up making 12 of them, or 5 field goals. 4 of them were, through the first 45 minutes. And yet the Patriots, they were still right in there, but just 32 yards on 4 total possessions. And the Seahawks, they just kept pounding the ball. They kept running it extremely well. Yet the passing game was just not really where it was supposed to be.
It wasn't. And I think one of the biggest things for me when I was watching this game was just and call me biased because I really spent a lot of time with them.
Yes.
But the defensive backs for Seattle.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
It was like not even a screen pass was like not covered. Like there was one play, I think it ended up being a first down for the Patriots that led them into the red zone, and then they scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Julian Love who safety, by the way.
Yeah.
Covering a screen in behind the line of scrimmage. It would have been a tackle for loss. I think it was like a third down.
Yeah.
And he just missed the tackle, and the Patriots got the first down that led to their only touchdown in the game.
I think that was the opening drive. I don't know if it was that, because I remember like there was like a simple check down in the flat to Mondre. He breaks out of that and picks up a first down. I could have been wrong. Maybe it was like later in the game where it was like got out of hand, but
it was like there was whatever Julian Love's one critical error was. It was the only critical error the Seattle defense made all game.
Yeah.
And basically the only difference was that instead of a tackle for loss, it was one of the Patriots' only first downs in the entire game.
I just felt like it was going to take one turnover on either side for this game to get completely out of hand. And then sure enough, with like 14 seconds left, it got to 3rd and 6 at the New England 44-yard line. And what happened right on cue? Will Campbell gives up a strip sack from Derek Hall, balls out, Seahawks recovered in promising field position. And then on just the 4th play of the 4th quarter, A.J. Barner's wide open for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, it's 19-0, and I figured, okay, yep, this game's probably over. But then the New England Patriots, the minute their offense got back on the football field, now it was the moment their offense decided to show up, because it only took them 3 plays to get in the end zone, and all of a sudden it was a ball game again. The defense forced a punt, and I'm thinking like, my gosh, 10 minutes left. Mm-hmm. You score quickly again and make it a 1-score game. You got plenty of chances to, try to get back into this.
The Bears had a lower chance against Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a way bigger margin. Yeah. And then, the Patriots, they picked up a couple first downs. They were able to get back inside the 45-yard line. And then, unfortunately, 2nd and 3 at the 44, the early dagger was put in when, speaking of which, Julian Love, Drake May throws a horrific interception right over the middle of the field, literally right into his arms. Seattle was able to kick a field goal on the next drive. It was 22-7 with like less than 5 minutes left. Yeah, the game was technically not still over, but you just felt like there was no way in hell the Seattle Seahawks were letting their foot off the gas. And then what happened right on schedule? The Patriots season fittingly ends with, you could call it a strip sack. They ended up ruling it an interception, but Devin Witherspoon, he got free on the blitz, popped the ball up in the air. Uchenna Nwasu picks it up or catches it out of the air, goes all the way to the house. And at that point, I was just like, yeah, that game's over. 29-7. The Patriots were able to get a touchdown in garbage time, but, the writing was just on the wall. And, that was the icing on the cake.
And the Seahawks didn't even really, turnovers really make a difference.
Yes.
Critical. If you can even get one, that a lot of times that's the difference.
Right.
And if the Broncos had one more against the Patriots, they may have ended up in the Super Bowl. What I mean to say is that it's really an important factor of the game. But the Seahawks they didn't even need it. This was a domination defensively where the Patriots were held to a Super Bowl worthy team was held to one successful drive.
Exactly.
You just don't see that.
The Patriots' offensive struggles, they came back to bite them at the worst possible time because, against the Chargers, they gave up 5 sacks and they turned it over a couple times, yet they still won the game 16-3. The next week, they turned it over 3 more times. They gave up 5 more sacks, yet they still won the game because of C.J. Stroud. And then the next week against Denver in that blizzard, any offense would have struggled in that just with how fast the snow was coming down, but they scored 10 points. They gave up 5 more sacks. They didn't turn the ball over, yet they only won that game 10-7. And then in this Super Bowl, 6 more sacks, 3 turnovers. And when you're going up against a team that has a lethal defense, that has an effective offense, who's well coached, and doesn't need any excuse to, say that, they're going to win or come up short, then if you make any sort of mistake, I don't really care what type of team you have, you're not winning that game.
Right.
So.
And they were chewing the clock, too, on offense. Seattle.
They were.
Really, the running and just, third down success.
I know.
Things like that.
Kenneth Walker, he had 94 yards in the first half. He ended up finishing with 135 on 27 carries. It's 5 yards a clip. And he ended up winning the Super Bowl MVP. I think it was rightfully deserved. I mean, you can't just give it to one single person on that defense just because of how fantastic, all of them played. But, I mean, Walker was the biggest reason why that offense had any sort of rhythm through the first 45 minutes and why they were able to stay ahead the entire game. Because without his performance, without him taking advantage of the opportunities he got after Zach Charbonnet went down, if they don't have any sense of a running game, there's no way in hell they're at this point.
Right, because the Patriots had a great defensive scheme. They limited the Seahawks passing game in a way that few teams have been able to do, especially with JSN.
I feel like they sold out just to stop him and make sure that they, invited them to run a little bit.
But what are you going to do? Allow JSN to run free?
Right.
I think they forced Seattle to rely on Kenneth Walker.
Yes.
And not having a backup running back because of Charbonnet's injury. I think the Patriots did a good job recognizing that, but Walker just stepped up to the plate.
Absolutely. I mean, New England's defense played absolutely phenomenal the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
They only gave up 3 touchdowns in 4 games played. They only gave up 1 in the Super Bowl. I mean, they were doing flat out everything they could to try to win that game. It was just like offensive ineptitude, and unfortunately, like when you give up that many big plays on the ground, you can take that, you can risk it because of, the amount of playmakers Seattle's got. And you saw what the Rams did. They said, okay, Sam Darnold, you got to beat us by yourself. And he did just that. So Patriots pretty much said, all right, we'll let them run the ball as much as they want. And Sam Darnold, Kenneth Walker really, accepted the challenge. Clint Kubiak came up with a perfect game plan to make sure that Darnold was not out of touch or uncomfortable whatsoever. And like I said, it just came down to which team made the fewest mistakes, and the Seattle Seahawks did that. And as a result, Sam Darnold, Leonard Williams, Jason Myers, DeMarcus Lawrence, whatever player that you want to name, all of them are Super Bowl champions, and it was rightfully deserved. What do you think this kind of meant for the team? Like, what's the impact on it?
For Seattle?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting looking back at this team's history, right, and seeing 2 elite defensive dynasties.
Yes.
Like just defensive wise, they used to have by far the best defense in the league. I would argue they have by far the best defense in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, with Cleveland coming up the rear. Go Browns!
Why'd you have to do that, man?
But it doesn't matter with Cleveland because they'll never win anyway. But
my gosh,
I feel like, oh wow, like thinking of the Seahawks in the first half of the 2000s, like the 2000s to 2030s, and there's 2 defensive
defensive championship teams,
of defensive excellence with no roster continuity between them. No one was in both eras.
No.
So I think that's really cool when you think about the Seahawks all time, because I didn't really think of them as like, Legion of Boom era when I think of them, but now I think we're getting to the point where the Seahawks are establishing themselves as like, we are the next generation of the Steel Curtain or the Purple People Eaters.
Maybe.
From the 70s. Then you look at the Ravens in the early 2000s. Now we have 2 eras on the same team. We haven't had that before. So, except maybe the Steelers with like the Palomalu defense, possibly. But I just think it's great for their legacy. And Mike McDonald is an excellent head coach, maybe the best in the league now.
He probably should have gotten a head coaching job sooner.
Oh yeah,
than he did. But John Schneider, general manager, I think he just pretty much asserted himself as a Hall of Famer because he literally he was the guy that constructed that Legion of Boom championship team.
Yep.
And he constructed this roster. There's no question he'll get in. I couldn't agree with you more about this. I mean, Sam Darnold, for him to like completely bring his career at the point that it's at, for him to be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, I was extremely happy for him because if you would have told me 2 years ago that this guy was going to be one of the biggest reasons why a team would win a Super Bowl, I would say you're full of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, this man was labeled as one of the biggest busts in NFL history, but, the minute that he joined, really, you could bring it back to when he joined the 49ers, him being Brock Purdy's backup, him learning under Kyle Shanahan, like trying to figure out, okay, what do I really need to do to get better? He had limited playing time, but still, him being in the practices and the film rooms and whatever the case may be, he got that year under his belt. Then he goes to Minnesota, plays incredible under Kevin O'Connell, and they end up winning 14 games. Then the next year in Seattle, he pretty much proves that I don't really need those two anymore to really like help me, become the player that I am. I got everything in here to make sure that I know what I'm doing and what I'm capable of. And was he the best player on this team? I wouldn't say so, but he did his job. He did it the right way, and he saved his best performances for the most important games. Against the 49ers, didn't really have to do too much, but played efficiently. Against the Rams, best game of his life, by far.
Oh, yeah.
And then against the Patriots, more of the same thing in the second round. Not really having to, like, be the hero, not really having to, throw for 300 yards or 3 touchdowns, but
just do the little things.
Do the little things, not turn the ball over, don't take too many sacks, not put the ball in harm's way, just get the ball to the guys at the perfect moments. And, 9 for 22 in the first half, but 10 for 16 in the second. That'll do it. So,
it did. Well said, my friend.
Hell yeah. From New England's perspective, though, unfortunately, they couldn't capture their 7th Super Bowl ring, and it's going to sting for a while because it was easily winnable. But I will say this. I mean, I said this earlier in the show, but nobody could have expected the Patriots to even be in this situation. I mean, they were 1-2 to start the year. People thought that they were just going to be another punching bag, that they were just going to be, one of the worst teams in the league, and they end up winning 13 more out of their final 14 regular season games. They win the division for the first time since 2019. Drake May, second in MVP voting.
By one vote.
By one vote. Mike Vrabel's the coach of the year. Josh McDaniels is assistant coach of the year. And thanks to that incredible defense and a pretty opportunistic offense, they get all the way to this point. And yeah, the way that the game played out was horrible, and it was the worst game of Drake May's career. But at the same time, we've seen plenty of stories like this before where you see them at their worst, but they end up surging to their highest, as they learn and as they, get better. I mean, LeBron James is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
In 2011 against the Mavericks, it was the worst series of his career by far. But then he ended up winning 4 more championships after that because he learned what it took to win. And he knew that once he got away from Miami, when he went back to Cleveland, he knew what it took to win and what it took to be that guy and to be that leader. And that's why he's one of the best players in NBA history. So I'm not saying Drake May is exactly like LeBron James. Don't get me wrong, but I have a feeling that this kid will be back. And I feel like this team is going to be in a great situation.
It would be foolish to write them off as like, oh, they're not worthy. They're not meant to be in this position.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of excellent coaching and a little bit of luck too. But
I mean, every team needs a little bit of luck to win.
Definitely. But I think they belonged there in that Super Bowl, and to say that they won't be back is crazy. They just need a few changes. Will Campbell's got to figure it out at that left tackle position. They got to have an elite blindside blocker to protect Drake May's blindside.
Totally.
And that makes a huge difference. That can bring you from good to great.
Definitely.
Just a left tackle. Truly it can.
Yeah.
And some better blocking schemes, being able to do more with that player than what they're able to do with Will Campbell. I think that could have unlocked a lot of things for them. And I think they'll get there. They don't need that many pieces, clearly. And yeah, I think it'd be a shame to say that, they're not going to be back.
Yeah.
Drake May's second year of Mike Vrabel's first.
I know.
I mean, seriously?
I mean, like I said, they completely overachieved, and I think next year you just have to figure out okay, you don't really, like you said, you don't really need to remove too much or add too much. All this is going to do is going to attract more free agents to want to come here and be a part of that success and be the biggest reason why they get over that
They
hump.
need a receiver.
Definitely need Stephon Diggs. Definitely a strong comeback season, 1,000 yards, and having the touchdowns that he had. But there were definitely times in the playoffs where you kind of needed him there, and he wasn't able to get it done. But unfortunately, I'm not saying that they should cut him, but from a salary cap perspective, you probably, if they released him, they wouldn't take on too much punishment. So we'll see what the New England Patriots do moving forward, along with the Seahawks. And I think on that note, we can end it right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for additional content. Be back next week with another episode. Make sure you subscribe to the Dialed In Network. Make sure you subscribe to 303 Sports Network. And make sure you watch 303 Hoops because it's the best basketball show on the freaking network, if I had to say so myself. At least the NBA one. So,
yeah.
thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week. So long, everyone.